Hello, I'm Lara Kılıçarslan and this is Newsfeed, your dose of what people are talking about online. US President Donald Trump's administration is going after Harvard hard. Now, it has revoked one of the nation's oldest and most prestigious universities' ability to enroll foreigners. The decision threatens thousands of international students and is creating anxiety on campus, including those who were set to graduate in a couple of days.
I'm a graduating senior from Harvard, and today we got the news that Donald Trump, Secretary of Homeland Security, was going to be revoking Harvard's ability to enroll and maintain their international student population. In simpler terms, if you are an international student at Harvard, you either have to transfer universities or lose your legal status in America. And for any international students that are applying or have already accepted their offer at Harvard, simply cannot enroll next school year. This is crazy. For a party and a president who claims to care a lot about freedom of speech and not having big government involved in every aspect of people's lives, this administration seems to do it a lot more than the last one.
A lot of people might be wondering why the government has a say in who Harvard can enroll and who Harvard cannot enroll, given that Harvard is a private institution. However, the reality is that for both public and private universities, any international students need to get a visa from the government that says that they are allowed to be in the country to study or for educational purposes. The worst part of this is that it leaves students that are on the brink of going to Harvard or students that are currently enrolled in a truly gray zone. If the block does not get lifted, those students would be forced to transfer to another institution, or they could continue trying to study at Harvard University, but then they would be undocumented immigrants.
The fallout between Harvard and the Trump administration has spanned months now. Officials are demanding changes, from policies all the way down to admissions. Harvard has been accused of being anti-Semitic and also collaborating with the Chinese Communist Party. It's called the latest sanction unlawful. The university responded to the previous $2 billion government funding freeze of federal grants by going to the courts. It sued the Trump administration late last month and declined to comply with a list of demands. The Spanish government has launched a major clampdown on Airbnb properties by ordering the removal of more than 65,000 rental listings. The Consumer Rights Ministry says many of them broke tourism rules. That includes missing license numbers. The nationwide crackdown mostly focuses on tourist hotspots like Madrid, Andalusia, and Catalonia. Following the announcement, a court in Madrid has ruled that nearly 6,000 listings must be taken down right away. Airbnb says the decision is unfair and blames the housing crisis on a lack of new homes, not tourist rentals. It also says Madrid is using Airbnb as a scapegoat. Meanwhile, locals continue to blame tourism for overpriced housing. The Spanish government has been cracking down on short-term holiday rentals since last year.
It's not just Airbnb, guys. VRBO, Booking.com, they are also under scrutiny. These were due to violations with licensing or ownership details.
Spain is the world's second most popular tourist destination, and around 94 million tourists visited the country in 2024. But the locals are fed up, and there's a strong anti-tourist movement in Spain, because more and more housing is being bought by investors and converted into short-term rental units, which has raised the price of housing and forced the locals to relocate from their neighborhoods into cheaper areas.
Barcelona plans to eliminate all 10,000 licensed short-term rental apartments by 2028 to try to work towards improving the housing crisis. Malaga has put out a 3-year moratorium on new licenses, so nobody can get a new tourist apartment license. That was effective January 2025. Alicante's got a freeze. We've got issues in Mallorca. Obviously issues in the Barcelona area, less so in Madrid, but also in the Canary Islands.
And this is only the first step in the government's plan to fix Spain's housing crisis. The government is currently planning to build 15,000 new homes every year, and by 2028, Barcelona will no longer allow short-term vacation rentals, telling investors they must convert them into long-term homes with capped rents or sell. Airbnb has refused to remove the listings, saying they'll appeal the decision and will not remove the listings until their appeal has been processed by the courts. In a statement, they said, the solution is to build more homes. Anything else is a distraction.
A Japanese comic book warns of a real catastrophe. A psychic predicts mass destruction. A feng shui master urges people to stay away. This might sound like the plot of a disaster movie, but for Japan's tourism industry, a recent spate of so-called earthquake-related predictions online has led to nervous travelers canceling or delaying their holidays.
In 1999, a Japanese woman named Ryo Tatsuki published a book saying that a major disaster was going to happen in Japan, and guess what? It happened. That year, Japan experienced one of its worst earthquakes ever. In 1992, she wrote that Princess Diana is going to, and then 5 years later, on that exact day, Diana passed. Then in 1995, she wrote again, in 2020, we're going to have a and then in April, it's going to disappear, but it's going to come back 10 years later. So mark your calendars for that one. But here's the scary part. Now she's predicting this summer, July 2025, the ocean floor between the Philippines and Japan is going to erupt, causing a tsunami 3 times worse than 2011. And it's not only going to affect Japan, but also the Philippines, Taiwan, Indonesia, and other places. Now, with all of these earthquakes happening, it's starting to feel a bit real.
Japan is no stranger to powerful earthquakes. The country has a good track record of withstanding major tremors. Living with the threat of a big quake is part of daily life in Japan. The country sits on the Ring of Fire, which is a hot spot for earthquakes and volcanoes around the edges of the Pacific Ocean. This region accounts for 90% of the world's earthquakes and contains 75% of all active volcanoes on Earth. But concerns about a massive quake have grown since January. That's when the government said there is an 80% chance a strong quake could hit Japan in the next 30 years. Still, experts say predicting the exact timing of an earthquake is nearly impossible. Japan's Cabinet Office recently posted on X, saying modern tools can't accurately forecast quakes. Despite rising panic online, there are still many travelers heading to the land of the rising sun. Japan welcomed 10.5 million tourists in the first 3 months of 2025. That's a record high. Regardless of where you're traveling, knowing a few words in the local language can go a long way. And in the case of Yuji Beleza, it's turned into a global phenomenon.
Excuse me, I think I can speak all of your languages.
Se tu en venho a pastel de nata.
Português? Você gata.
¿Cómo te llamas?
Me llamo Yuji. ¿De dónde eres?
De España.
Mucho gusto, mucho gusto. You're Asian, right?
Yes. こんにちは。
日本人ですか？
日本人です。
僕も日本人です。
そうなんですか？頑張るジョバ。
La masita de Bigacus. La ves.
Alhamdulillah.
¿Cómo te llamas?
Jada.
Me piacere de conocerte.
Singapore?
你会说汉语吗？
会啊。
我在工作。
在工作。
在工作。Sakandın.
Kazakistan'da buldunuz mu?
Uşre. Hello. Woher kommst du?
Aus Palästina.
Palästina. كيفك?
Alhamdulillah منيحة بتعرف
Where are you from?
I'm from Turkey.
Turkey.
Yeah.
Sen çok yakışıklısın ya.
Teşekkür ederim.
Koloba ka lingala?
Non lo va lingala.
Nazome ka koloba lingala. Como nani?
Come la Daniel?
Nibo litua? Aha. Kilon shele.
I'm Nigerian, you know.
Bambara? Ini sagoma? Ini tele?
Oui. English.
Woher kommen Sie?
Deutschland.
Aus Deutschland. Oh, sprechen Sie Deutsch?
Un peu.
Un peu.
Feierabend.
Feierabend. Wir machen Feierabend.
The Japanese-Irish polyglot is known for surprising strangers by greeting them in their language. To learn new languages, Beleza combines online videos, notebooks, conversations with friends, voice memos, and traditional study. He currently speaks Japanese, English, Russian, German, and Turkish fluently. He's conversational in around 10 more languages and can say a few phrases in more than 40. His friendly energy and quick reflexes have made him a star with millions of followers across social media platforms. A popular music streaming app is in hot water for offering more than the best and latest in music. Spotify is scrambling to remove dozens of podcasts promoting the sale of highly addictive prescription drugs. An investigation by 2 US news outlets revealed that podcasts are directing users to illegal online pharmacies peddling dangerous drugs like Adderall, oxycodone, and Vicodin.
Despite policies and likely federal laws prohibiting such content, outlets found podcasts with names like My Adderall Store and xtraparma.com openly promoting opioids and other drugs. While Spotify quickly removed 200 fake shows after a Business Insider report, CNN easily found dozens more still live, even months after upload, highlighting failures in Spotify's automated moderation. The scandal comes as the US government cracks down on online drug sales and raises concerns over the platform's safety for listeners.
Spotify told the US news channel CNN that they were fixing the problem but did not make a public statement. The findings are alarming and come as the US is struggling with a prescription drug problem. American parents have also urged big tech companies to monitor what's on sale on their platforms and do more to prevent the sale of drugs to young people. This is after several American teenagers died from overdosing on drugs bought online. Welcome to the paranormal side of Newsfeed. Just kidding, but TikTok isn't. A raggedy doll from the 1970s named Annabelle is wreaking havoc online as she kicks off a rare public tour. Yes, the infamous haunted doll who inspired her own movie universe, The Conjuring, is on the move and the internet is losing it.
1970 when 2 nursing students came into possession of Annabelle. They started noticing weird things right away. They consulted a medium. The medium told them that the doll was possessed by a little girl named Annabelle Higgins who had died before the apartment building was built and, make her feel welcomed and whatnot. Like the plot in most horror movies, the nurses gave Annabelle permission to hang around. Then things got dark. Things started to get sinister. The doll was moving by itself and moving positions. And so they call in Ed and Lorraine Warren. Not long after Ed and Lorraine Warren got involved with the Annabelle case, then things started to get dark. All of a sudden, Annabelle was demonic.
Do you remember when Lorraine Warren said this about the Annabelle doll?
Don't ever touch anything, and if you do, let me know. This is the worst thing in here, that doll.
But I guess some people forgot about that because she's on tour. So they took her to New Orleans, and why does a plantation house from 1859 burn down after? This mansion was about 53,000 square feet with 64 rooms, and it burns down after Annabelle decides to visit the city. The fire is still under investigation, so you could call it a creepy coincidence, but if you watch the Conjuring and Annabelle movies, you will know how evil she truly is. But that's not the only weird thing that happened over there. 10 inmates escaped from a prison shortly after.
And that's our show. Find our latest stuff on YouTube and do subscribe to our channel. See you soon.